Guys, thank you so much for joining me in another video. So as you can tell, based on the title, today we are talking about these Celine fragrances. So I already have 2 fragrances in my collection. And then since purchasing this, I've had a few people ask me about my opinions on this. Again, this is something a little bit different from my channel. If I'm gonna be honest, guys, I'm not a fragrance expert. I feel like this is not really something I am that knowledgeable about. It's just like a whole world for me to explore and learn about. I do like fragrances when I do pick them up. So I'm kind of just like a casual enjoyer of fragrances, but I wouldn't say I'm the fragrance expert or aficionado. Take what I say with a grain of salt is really what I'm trying to say, and I'm sorry if this is kind of a cringe review, but this was a fragrance line that was introduced in 2019 when Eddie Slimane first joined Celine as part of the revamp of the brand. LVMH had always wanted an offering from Celine, so Eddie had launched this line. This set comes with the first 10 creations. Since the creation of this, there have been Bois Dormant, a cologne, I believe. I forget the name of the cologne. Cologne Celeste or something like that. And then the other one that is yet to be released, which is coming in June, Zuzu. And also Celine is coming out with a beauty line as well. But anyways, again, I just can't emphasize this enough. I would not say I'm a fragrance expert by any means. I just like them. I'm a casual observer, appreciator. This is just like my personal opinion. So I thought the way we'd structure this is I would go through the 2 fragrances I possess, as well as I'd rank the rest of the fragrances from least favorite to most favorite, as well as my potential one I might get next. We'll see. But in terms of the first fragrance I ever picked up from Celine is, I am gonna butcher this name, but it is Saint-Germain-des-Prés. So this is a beautiful fragrance. It's very citrusy. And one thing that is very interesting, I don't even feel like I'm a citrus person. One thing that is very common with a lot of Celine fragrances is there's a powdery iris undertone. So it doesn't come across as so punchy. It's very soft and it's very smooth. But I picked this up, it was pretty much love at first scent. For me personally, I find sometimes in stores, there's just a lot going on. I'm looking at the bags, I'm looking at the clothes, I'm looking at the accessories, and then I'm looking at the fragrances. But this was the one that, which I think is very interesting because now that I've since purchasing this, I actually don't think this is very me at all. It's just a very pleasant smell. I think there's like a pleasantness about it. It's very elegant. It gives me very Parisian vibes. Like the way that this fragrance is described, it's almost described in a way of Parisian sitting in a cafe. For a lot of the fragrances, they're not very intense in my opinion. They're very intimate fragrances. They don't have really intense production. Some of them more so than others. This one does not. It's a very just pleasant fragrance. It's very nice and very pretty. I don't know if that's 100% my style, but I think the citrus and the powdery combination is very intriguing to me. So the next cologne I purchased was Cologne Francais. My light is just blowing this out. This was a fragrance I had received as a sample when I had purchased the first one. I was just addicted to it. I just couldn't stop spraying it, and then once I was done, I was like, oh my gosh, I have to go into Celine to pick this up. A lot of people would probably describe this as a little bit more quote-unquote masculine. This is a line with the view that fragrance is gender neutral. There's no masculine or feminine. Eddie Slimane as a designer has always kind of been intrigued with this idea of what is masculinity and femininity and playing with our conventional ideas of what is masculine and feminine. To me, when I smell this, even though I would describe myself as more feminine, I would say that a lot of people might think this is more masculine. It's very woody, it's very earthy. This has a hint of citrus, and then it's got the iris, that smoothness, but it's very woody. And it has this sparkling effect, this like fizziness, but it's also very sharp. Projects more than I would say the first one. To me, while this is like going to like a Parisian cafe, I feel like this feels very sharp, smooth, sophisticated. It feels like to me a powerful suit. Very woody, very earthy, but then it has that undertone of something a little bit more powdery and even a little bit of citrus, but it's very fresh, it's very sparkling. If I'm gonna be honest, I think my 2 picks are not really popular ones from what I've seen, at least just in the fragrance community. There are other fragrances that are more popular that a lot other people seem to like. Let's talk about these little guys. So if I'm gonna be honest, I would probably say my least favorite is La Peau Nue. To me, this feels like the sister of the Saint Germain one, but it just feels a little too like pretty, floral, elegant. It almost feels like makeup to me, if I'm gonna be honest, like lipstick. That's the scent I get, which is, I don't know if I wanna smell like that, and I think that's why I don't really like it. Again, this just is my personal preference. It just doesn't speak to me. I'm sure there are some people there that love it and will work totally great on them, but I just think it doesn't really speak to me. So the next fragrance I wanna talk about is Rimbaud. Now, the thing about this fragrance, to me, it smells like gin and tonic. It's very light, very airy, very clean, but it just reminds reminds me of a gin and tonic. I think it's cool that the inspiration is the Rider Rimbaud. I don't know if it's just I don't have like the palette for this, or I don't think this one is for me. It's a little bit too florally and fresh, but there is kind of an earthiness to it too. So the next one is Eau de Californie. Now this one to me, I think it's very nice. I don't think it's very strong, this one. It's very fresh, very earthy. It makes me think of California redwoods or something like that. It does feel very calm, relaxed, laid back. But yeah, I don't think it has a really strong projection. You definitely get that this is a very woody fragrance. It is also citrusy as well. So this next one is Reptile, and oh man, I really like this one. I feel like if I were smelling somebody else, I would actually like this. It's not for me, but I do like it. It's definitely very woody, earthy. There is that spiciness to it. It does have that, which I think is super interesting. I feel like it's not as intense as I think a name like Reptile would make me think of. I don't know, like I think of something a little bit more extreme in a way, but it's like a leather jacket, not like your typical leather jacket. It's like an embellished leather jacket, like a leather jacket that a rock star would wear. If I think of bands like The Strokes or like Iggy Pop or something, I could see the point of inspiration being for like Eddie, some kind of like cool rock star vibe. That's just what I'm thinking. While some other fragrances might seemingly feel a little bit more elegant or sophisticated or something, this feels a little bit more rebellious, but still very luxurious. Like it's like a really delicious leather jacket. That's the vibe of this, and I think it's a very nice one. So this next fragrance is not one for me, but I actually really want to get this one for David. I love it. I think it is so good, and it's the fragrance Night Clubbing. I already have the candle. I had David smell these with me, and he actually really likes this. This is very powdery, smoky, ashy, but it also feels like very powdery at the same time. So the next three are my top three. I think I know which one I want, but I kind of like bounce back because I'm gonna get one very soon. I told David we should go to Celine sometime this week. I want to try the fragrances on, and I just want to go into Celine to see what they have for other things, but I'm kind of torn between these three. The first one I'm potentially considering is Parade or Parade. This one, I love this. Again, it's citrusy, but it feels very smooth at the same time. Anyways, I think this is a really nice fragrance, and I can see why a lot of people like this one. By the way, I feel like Night Clubbing is one a lot of people like. That's a very popular one. But this one I think also people seem to like as well. The next one I'm potentially considering, and I think this is a very popular one for very good reason. I feel like this is probably the most popular fragrance actually, and I totally get it, and it's Black Tie. Now this is that perfect combination of something a little bit more powdery, irisy, vanilla-y. It's a very beautiful fragrance, and I absolutely understand why this is the one people go for. But honestly guys, I feel like the fragrance that I am probably most drawn to at the moment is Dom Perignon, and I just think it is so beautiful. It feels very almondy, amaretto. This has been the one that I have been reaching for the most since I got this, which hasn't been very long. Being able to sit with these for a slightly longer period of time than just going in store. This one is sweet. It's a little bit more floral. It's very smooth. It's very warm. A bit of a spice to the Dom Perignon. Like I said, we are going to be going to Celine. I want to check out some things. David said he wanted to get me something for Mother's Day. I'm most likely going to get Dom Perignon, but I'm also very tempted by Black Tie, as well as Parade or Parade, however you say that one. Again, excuse my inability to pronounce these French words. But yes, anyways, that is me reviewing this line of fragrances, and these bottles are 10 milliliters, so you get 10 by 10 milliliters. It is on the pricier side. It is a luxury brand. For me personally, as somebody though that is not really, I would say, a fragrance expert, and if I'm gonna be honest, I feel like I am still trying to find the types of fragrances I like. Having the set kind of made me realize what I like, what I don't like, or what more so like combinations I think I like. If you're someone like me who isn't really like a huge fragrance person, but you like to buy the odd fragrance here and there, I actually think this is a great way to test out the line, but also get a sense of what you like. Well, there's a lot of iris, there's a lot of powderiness actually. Some fragrances have a little bit more citrus, some fragrances are a little bit more woody or leathery or have more florals, might be a little bit spicier, so it kind of gives you a nice range. Now that I have the set, if I'm gonna be honest, I don't know if I would have picked up Cologne Francais or if I would have picked up Saint Germain as my first fragrances. I might have picked up one of the top three because I'm able to sit with them longer versus going in stores. Again, I love those two fragrances, but over time it allows me to realize what I like the most. But yes, anyways, I'm really glad I picked this up. If I'm gonna be honest, I am very afraid that these could get discontinued, or I don't know if the rumors are true about Eddie Slimane leaving Celine. We haven't heard any actual confirmation from any direct source from from LVMH or from Celine. If you've been considering getting one of these fragrances, get them now. If there's a fragrance you've been meaning to get, I would say it's probably wiser to get it sooner rather than later. Who knows if they discontinue it. There's a few things I'm afraid are gonna get discontinued and I want to check out at Celine. Nothing has been confirmed yet. We don't really have any official word. There's no real direct sources. I will say this kind of recent round of articles that were released, I definitely feel like it inspired me to make this purchase. They could just get reformulated or discontinued. Who knows? Celine has done complete 180s in the past and it's kind of annoying actually. Like, it's really annoying. You can't do this to a brand. It's just really annoying. While I obviously love Phoebe Philo and I'm so glad she has her own line, like I'm wearing Phoebe Philo right now. I hope Eddie's at Celine, but maybe it's just not what LVMH wants and like the business wants to grow even more or something. I don't know. Like they want to get even more money for their shareholders or whatever. So, but yes, anyways, guys, that's not really the topic of this video. I would love to know, is there any fragrances you are loving right now, be it new, old, maybe one that you want to pick up? That is my review. Thank you so much for joining me in another one, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye.